You just spent hours prepping, masking, and spraying your car, and then, boom, your clear coat turns into a nightmare. Orange peel, runs, dry spots, or even peeling a few days later. Here's the truth. These problems don't just happen. They come from specific mistakes when spraying clear coat. And once you know what they are, you can avoid them forever. In this video, I'm going to show you the most common clear coat errors painters make and how to fix them before they ruin your paint job. Whether it's spraying too far, using the wrong air pressure, or rushing between coats, I'll break it all down step by step. Stick around because these tips are the difference between a professional glass-like finish and a paint job you wish you'd never started. Orange peel doesn't always start when you spray your clear coat. In fact, it can begin way back here in the primer stage. If you don't sand your primer properly, those small imperfections, the rough texture, tiny high spots, or sanding scratches, will travel through every single layer. By the time you lay down your clear, they're locked in, and they'll show in your final finish. Your primer should be perfectly smooth, almost like glass, before you even think about base coat. A good tip? Use a guide coat while sanding. It helps you see low spots and scratches you might miss. Also, don't rush the process. Uneven pressure or using the wrong grit can ruin the whole surface before you've even started painting. But in today's video, we're not going to walk through the base coat application. We're jumping straight into the clear coat, the stage where the real depth, gloss, and protection come in, and unfortunately, where most painters make their biggest mistakes. I'm going to show you the most common clear coat spraying errors. All right, so now we're moving on to the clear coat. You can see I've already got my panel prepped and the gun settings are dialed in. I'm keeping my distance about 6 to 8 inches from the surface. Too far and the clear will land dry, too close and you risk runs. First pass is always a light tack coat. I'm not trying to get it glossy yet, just giving the surface a light, even layer so the second coat has something to grip onto. Notice how I'm keeping my wrists locked and moving my whole arm, keeping that gun parallel to the panel at all times. I'm also overlapping each pass by about 70%. That way there's no dry lines or striping, and you get a nice even build across the whole surface. Air pressure is important here too. I'm running around 20 seconds for this job, which gives me a smooth, wet pattern without blowing too much overspray. This is the money coat. I'm slowing my passes down just slightly and letting the clear lay down wet so it levels out and gives that deep gloss. Still, you don't want to hang in one spot or you'll get sags. Keep watching the reflection in the panel. That's your best guide. If the reflection looks wavy or dry, adjust your distance and speed right there in real time. I'm making sure to hit all the edges and curves. Those spots tend to get missed, and if you leave them dry, it's obvious in the final finish. You can see already how the surface is starting to pop. Once this coat flashes off, I'll be ready for the next layer, keeping that same overlap, distance, and arm movement for a uniform gloss across the whole panel. We can put your actual PSI here based on your setup. Right now, the clear is flashing off. You can see that wet gloss starting to level out. This stage is important because it lets the solvents escape before we lay the next coat, which helps prevent runs and solvent pop. All right, now we're on the second pass. This is where the clear really comes to life. I'm slowing my movement down just a touch compared to the tack coat, so the clear lays down wetter and starts to level out for that deep gloss. Still keeping my distance at about 6 to 8 inches. Gun parallel to the surface, and overlapping around 70% so I don't leave any dry lines. I'm watching the reflection in the panel. That's my live feedback. If the reflection looks patchy or dry, I adjust my speed or distance right away. I'm also making sure I don't hang too long in one spot, because that's how runs happen. Keep the passes even and don't forget the edges and curves. They can easily get dry spots if you rush past them. You can already see the gloss building. Once this coat flashes off, we'll be ready for the final layer to really lock in that shine. Right now, we're in the flash off stage after the second coat. This is where the solvents in the clear coat are evaporating and the surface starts to level out on its own. You can see the gloss is still there, but it's just starting to lose that super wet look. That's a sign the flash is happening. This step is critical because if you spray the next coat too soon, you can trap solvents underneath, and that can cause problems later like solvent pop, dieback, or even wrinkling. I usually wait until the clear is tacky but not stringy when you lightly touch a hidden spot. That means it's ready for the next layer. The timing can depend on your temperature, humidity, and the brand of clear you're using, so always check the tech sheet for the recommended flash time. This stage is also a good time to walk around the panel and double check for any dry spots or light coverage areas, so you can correct them on the next pass. Now we're on the third and final pass. This coat is all about building that full depth and glossy finish. I'm keeping my gun movement smooth and steady, overlapping around 70%, and maintaining the same distance to avoid runs or sags. At this stage, it's important not to overspray or hang too long in one spot. You want the clear to lay down evenly and self-level for that mirror-like shine. Make sure to cover edges and curves carefully. Those areas can be easy to miss, but are critical for a perfect finish. Once this coat flashes off and cures, your panel will have that rich, deep gloss and durable protection you're aiming for.